What is going on, everyone? Trust the buzz here. If you're new to the channel, I make Charlotte Hornets content, so if that interests you, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. If you cannot tell by the thumbnail title of this video, in today's video, we're going to be talking about players the Charlotte Hornets should stay away from. I know that I've been a person that said I'm happy with a lot of the people in the top. And while that is true, there are some players I would prefer not to get if the Charlotte Hornets, if they were basically on the board when the Charlotte Hornets go to pick. I'm going to do that for every pick that the Charlotte Hornets have, which is 5, 2 in the first, 3 in the second, I believe. And if you want to see more NBA draft content or college basketball content, go ahead and check the description box down below where you'll see a link to my other channel called Draft Nerds, where basically I just talk NBA draft. That's literally all I do on there. So if you're interested in that, make sure you go ahead and check that out. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the video. All right, so here we are. I think I mentioned this in my last video about the new setup I have. I hope you like it. I hope this is something that I'm going to try. If this works, if I feel like the quality of content I put out doesn't suffer because of the way I have this set up, then I'll do this a lot more often, which it's easier for me because everything's just set up and all I have to do is sit down and record. So therefore I can come out with more videos instead of trying to put everything together. So hopefully this works out. What I'm going to do here on Tankathon though is sim the lottery, and then whatever the Hornets get, I'm going to just basically pick players around that and say, hey, this person is important, this person is not important, and just go from there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so the Charlotte Hornets end up at 6. Now, what's crazy about this is I actually really like Jarace Walker. I'm a big Jarace Walker fan. So if the Hornets end up at 6, Jarace Walker's on the board, take him. Players you should probably stay away from, I would stay away from Cam Whitmore right now, just because, not because Cam Whitmore is bad, but more so we have Miles Bridges. Cam Whitmore is literally, basketball-wise, the reincarnation of Miles Bridges. So I just wouldn't go that route. There would just be no point to double dip unless you plan to move Miles Bridges, which I don't think that's going to happen. Next up is Grady Dick. I know I say a lot of times that the Charlotte Hornets have guys that can shoot, but not shooters. And Grady Dick definitely is a shooter. That's too rich for my blood at 6. And then also I would stay away, and this is last, because I don't think anybody else would even be thought of to be drafted that high. But Bryce Sensabaugh, I would stay away from him at 6, just because offensively, I think he's a very great player, a very great prospect. He's going to make a lot of teams happy. Well, yeah, he would make a lot of teams happy if they were able to draft him. But Jarace Walker, I think, does a little bit of everything. And I know you look at his numbers and say he only scored 11 points a game. Well, that was on he was a freshman on a very veteran Houston team. And he was literally the glue to that. He was the Draymond to that situation, not skill set wise, but what he meant to the team as far as what he can do on the court. That was Jarace Walker, and he has a little bit of a 3-ball. I would pick Jarace Walker here, but like I said, the guys to stay away from really would be Cam Whitmore, Grady Dick, Bryce Sensabaugh, and then I think that's really it. If a Thompson twin falls, I'm happy with that too. It's a tough decision, but I probably would. It would be really difficult. And then Anthony Blatt, I don't have a problem with Anthony Blatt. I really just don't know how he would fit with LaMelo Ball. I see where it could be a disaster, but I also see where it could be something that's very good. So get Anthony Black wouldn't be a problem. However, it's just not my ideal situation, but he's not on the do not draft list at all. So next up at 27, we have Marcus Sasser in this particular mock draft. Marcus Sasser, I would stay away from just because the Hornets do not do well with those heavy offensive guards. We've seen it with Malik Monk. We've seen it so far with James Bouknight. I don't know what it is. They just do not do well at all. I don't know what the problem is. In saying that, Turk, you could get rid of him too. Do not draft. Not because of him. Not because of him at all. It has everything to do with the team, and I just haven't seen them be able to develop these kind of guys, these guys who are made to be, I wouldn't say made to be, but you could really see them being this 6th man, this guy to come off the bench that just scores a lot of points, scores in bunches. They just don't do well with guys like that. I just don't want them to draft anyone else like that. So Marcus Sasser, Turk Smith, both do not need to be on there. I mean, obviously James Nagy, there's no reason to draft him. He's a center. Anyone else around this area that before we get to our next pick? I don't think so. Noah Clowney, I think would be good. Bilal, Kolabali, I think, will be pretty good, but it's really just Turk Smith, Mark Sasser. Do not draft. At 34, who's around this pick? I would say Tracy Jackson Davis. He doesn't shoot. I wouldn't draft him. There's no reason to. You got Nick Richards. You got Mark Williams, who hasn't developed a 3-point shot yet, which I'm pretty sure is going to come along because we've seen him hit jumpers. And he said that is something he wants to add to his game. I'm not saying Tracy Jackson Davis can't. I just haven't seen him do it. So it's just no point to add a project when it comes to shooting when your team does not shoot well already without taking a high volume. So I wouldn't draft Tracy Jackson Davis. Julian Phillips I would stay away from, and that's more so our next pick around here. I mean, Brandon Podziemski. Yeah, Brandon Podziemski. That's how you say his name. I wouldn't draft him either. I would put him on the do not draft list. I really like his game out of Santa Clara. It's just I don't see where he fits on the team. He doesn't do much defensively. I think he has like, I don't know how to put it. He has an inclination, just some type of sense on defense to get steals. He's very good at timing. Other than that, I don't think he's like this excellent defender, and we need more of that, especially if we're going to take guys in the second round. We need some guys who make it hit on places we need. He's not going to be a hit in a place we need. Wouldn't be surprised if he'd be a hit on another team. As we move down to the 39th pick, guys around here I wouldn't draft. Well, like I said, it would be Julian Phillips. I wouldn't draft him. Too much of a project. Jalen Wilson is interesting. I think he's a guy that can contribute right away. His skill set is not very varied. However, he's a tenacious rebounder for being a wing. I think that would get him on the floor. He's not that good of a 3-point shooter, but he can shoot. I know I said we don't want more of those guys. He might be on a do not draft list for the Charlotte Hornets, but I think for another team, if you're willing to take that risk and hope that he can develop his game more overall, I think that you'll take that risk. He has all the hustle in the world. Like he's gonna rebound. He's gonna work. Does his skill set help with that? And not necessarily. I mean, these 20 points, they're not empty because they impacted the game. However, it wasn't because he was doing it like he was unguardable or anything like that. It had nothing to do with that. So next we go to 41, which all these picks are close, so it's like kind of tough. 41. This guy, I wouldn't draft. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm not going to butcher it, so I'll say Nikola because I know that. Nikola, I think he just can't shoot. I think he has a good job of like kind of conducting the offense. I think he's a good ball handler, and that's about it. He can't shoot. So I wouldn't get him. Jalen Clark might be interesting. Jalen Clark might be an interesting pick for the Charlotte Hornets, just because I do like the way he is able to defend. He did a good job at UCLA this year, also playing with Jaime Jaquez, playing with Amari Bailey. I think he did a good job of making a name for himself and then moving up on the draft boards. He was kind of, I think at the beginning of the year, he wasn't even on here. So I think he deserved it. Jalen Clark, I think, deserves it. Definitely some consideration in the second round. Coleman Hawkins, I wouldn't get either. I'm just not sold on him. He was very important for Illinois. I think so. Like, I know the stats may not look impressive, but he was a very important part for what Illinois was able to do this year. However, I don't really see his skill set really being anything more than just kind of like that hustle guy, makes the right play. I think that could get him on the floor. But when it comes to, is this guy going to be my guy I can really rely on? No, maybe not the same role, but he might be Xavier Tillman, which, hey, if you're the Grizzlies, you're not mad at what Xavier Tillman's been doing at times, but it's just, I don't foresee that being exactly what Coleman Hawkins would be. So I don't think taking him would be good either. I mean, that's really it. Then you have some obvious like Zach Edey. I wouldn't take Zach Edey if I'm the Hornets. I do actually believe Zach Edey could have an NBA career, just not with the Hornets. The guy from Creighton, Baylor, I don't know how to, Sherman, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's not as good of a shooter as I thought he was. And that was kind of my problem with him. Kobe Brown, I definitely would take. But anyway, I've named some guys that I just would not take if I'm the Charlotte Hornets. They could be good in other places. Like Turk, I think Turk with the right team, he could be dangerous. He does not play like he's 6'4", basically, in 165. He plays much bigger than that. Just the Hornets don't do a good job of developing those guys. Let's see. And then Brandon Podziemski, I don't really foresee the Hornets getting him because he's just more of an offensive minded player. We do need more defense, and considering in this mock draft we got Jarace Walker. I think he's a good defensive player. We don't really just need that much more offense. Our offense, when Miles Bridges comes back, I think it's going to be fine. It's just our defense and just basically just handling our business on the court. But yeah, anything other than that, I think that does it. Let me know what you think of the video. Like I said, these are guys the Hornets should not draft. My mind could change. I'll probably do another one of these like right before the draft. But as of right now, these are guys who are on my do not draft list for the Charlotte Hornets. Does not mean they shouldn't be drafted anywhere else. But as I mentioned with two people, sometimes it's just the organization and their history. Hornets do not have a good history of developing some of these guys, so that's why they're on the do not draft list, despite those players being actually pretty good. But let me know what you think down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.